Good. I think we're ready now, and I'll make sure we're muted. Good. We'll begin with our salute. All right. Feet together. Fist. Cover and tuck your thumb. Then I say, welcome. And we put our arms down. All right. Well, as you can see, I'm decorated today, and I have bands on my right side. So as we go forward, I'm hoping that this will help you see where my right and left are. All right. Last week I did some mirroring, but honestly, the feedback I got was that on the whole, people weren't sure that was as helpful as knowing right and left and standing back. So we'll continue to play with it, and you can continue to let me know. In the meantime, let's warm up. Now, I'm assuming that for us, it's afternoon. For some people here, it's East Coast, 7 a.m., that you've been moving around today. So we don't need a lot of warm up for our body, but let's review our body parts and at the same time make our joints move to make sure we're feeling good, all right? So I'm starting with my feet shoulder width apart, and my head is up and I'm looking forward. I'm going to start by turning my head to the side, and only my head and neck move, and then I come back. And now I turn to the other side, and I come center. This shows that our head can rotate on our neck without our lower body moving. Let's do it again, and this time, follow with your eyes looking out over the horizon. Turn. Head back to center, look out over the horizon. And turn the other way with the head. And come back looking front. So that's practicing your gaze. We're looking out to the horizon because we might have an opponent. All right, next, our shoulders, part of our upper body. So we're going to start with this side. This is your right side. We're going to roll it back and down. And now left, up, back, and down. Right, up, back, and down, and left. This is your shoulder joint moving. Now in Tai Chi, what we do is our shoulders tend to stay down. That's the Yang family. We want to keep them down. So let's do that again, and you'll notice when it comes up and when it comes down. So right side up, but now it comes down. Left up and down. And again, right up, down, and left up, down. So your shoulders are down there. They're in a nice down position. All right. Let's look at our middle. The middle is that area where we talk about the middle body. We want it to be flexible. And in our lower back, we have a spot just a little bit below the belly button, straight back on the lumbar spine that we call the waist in Chinese culture. And we can pivot around that waist. We're going to turn our body and let our arms just swing, turn, and keep our hips stable. Hips are stable. All right. This is showing us that our middle body can move, which we want in Tai Chi. The middle body connects our lower and upper bodies. All right. We talked last week about how if we turn our torso, our arms come with it. That our arms don't just wiggle by themselves, but if my arms are out and I turn my torso, my arms go with it. Arms and torso goes with it. So to make my arms move, I often move that middle body and then move in the other direction. So you can maybe feel that. Maybe you could feel your middle body move. Oops, my arms come with it. And then middle body comes back. Middle body moves and it comes back to center. It's moving my arms with it so that we're connected upper and lower body. If I keep going down, I get to my hips, and your hip is connected to your leg at a joint, this joint right here. If you lift your leg up and see where it bends right at the top of the thigh, that's your hip joint. That's your hip joint right there. All right? We want our hip joints to stay open when we do Tai Chi. But first, let's just circle our hips. So when we circle, we do let our body move. We don't want our knees to collapse in totally, but we can just push our hips to the side, back, side, and forward. And this is just warming up that hip and identifying for us that body part. And then come back to your center where you're equal weight and in the middle and go the other direction. That's your left, right, forward, left, right, and forward. So those are our hips. We're going to come back to the hips and talk about our quad, this crotch area, keeping it open. But first, let's take a look at our ankles and our feet. I'm going to stand on my left leg, and I'm going to take my right foot, and I'm going to point my toe. You may touch the floor with it or lift it up. And then I'm going to pull the toe back, and I can touch with the heel. That's flexing it. And I can point, flex. This is to just get the ankle starting to loosen up. Okay, we're going to shift our weight, put weight on the right leg, and then point the left toe, flex it, point it, flex it, and point. All right, and come back. I'm going to show you one more that people do in some classes, and this is not a move that should hurt. If for any reason it does, you don't do it. But my knees are not very good and I can do it. So my feet are together. My feet are together. I'm going to bend a little bit in the knees. And I'm going to circle with my kneecap. Circle the knees. And you will feel your knees going around, but also you'll feel your ankles. You'll feel your ankles circling. And then you can come to the center and go the other direction. It's a very small circle. It's very, very small. And then come and stand up. All right? So those are our joints and the body parts we have to remember. Let's talk just to review the body shape. And we do this because we want this shape to be what we're doing in the form. I'm going to put my feet shoulder width apart. And remember that you want your toes forward to the extent that you can, and it's okay to look and line them up. And your body is aligned so that your hips and shoulders are in a line together, and then you are standing up. But we are going to bend just a little bit, doesn't have to be much at all. And when you bend, you'll see that if you're bending and keeping your quad open, your knees are in line with the direction of your toes. But if you want to know more about, well, what does it mean? First of all, we're talking about these hip joints. We don't want them to roll in. So I'll show you, but don't do it. That's when my knees collapse. Another way to think about it, which was talked about in a wonderful class I took, is that we have long bones in our thigh, long bones, part of our pelvic and leg girdle. And if you think of the bones, if you rotate your bones a little bit, it'll keep your quad open. Don't think of your knee, because if you think of your knee rotating, they might go too far out. But if you think of these bones opening up, just rotating a little bit, turning a little bit, that makes this area nice and open, and we want that. We want that. Okay? So standing up. If you don't keep your quad open, what happens is your knees collapse, and that's where you can get some pain. All right? All right, let's go back to our body shape. Let's bend our knees now that we've talked about this quad. And I'm going to think about my hips pointing downward so that this lower part of my back my tailbone can tip down a little bit. I'm not doing an anterior tip. That would be anterior tip. And I'm not pushing out. I'm just kind of sitting a little bit, thinking of my tailbone going down. And that's going to be what we call relaxing the waist, because we're relaxing that part of our spine. I'm going to take my arms and circle. Nice big circle. My fingertips point to each other with about a fist in between. And I am thinking about what it means to be relaxed. My head is up, but my body hangs down suspended. It's like my head is the top of a hanger, and my body is all the clothes hanging on the hanger. You'll see your shoulders are down, like when we warmed them up and got them down, and your elbows are down. If your elbows go up, it'll look a little like this and wouldn't be very comfortable. All right, and down. My back, because I'm pushing out a little bit with this hugging my tree, my back expands outward and my chest is a little bit absorbed, meaning I'm not opening, I'm not pulling back with at where my arm and chest meet. I'm kind of I'm very curved. All right? And I can breathe comfortably here. If it feels tense, like it's bothering your arms or your back, you can lighten up a bit. You can just lighten up. It doesn't have to be such an enormous tree, but it's big enough that you have space under your armpits. You're circling the tree. This is the body shape with our head up looking forward. This is the body shape that we have in this Yang family Tai Chi form. And we will practice having it in the form. All right? So now let's stand up. And if you go into that position and just stay there for a while, it's called still practice. All right. So we're going to get started. At first, I want to just check who's here. I'm wearing these armbands. As you see, one of them kind of wants to come down, but I had to get it on myself because I'm here alone, so it wasn't too tight, but we'll make it do. All right. Are there any questions as we about what we just did or getting your body ready? Otherwise, we're going to start with some practice. Welcoming everybody who's here today. All right. All right, we've been working on Grasp the Bird's Tail, and we have done through the move called Rollback, which was last week's new move. We will review it, but what we're going to do first is just do some Tai Chi together. We'll practice from the beginning of the form. I will face my 12 o'clock, so my back will be to you. I will call out moves to help you. This is to help you get started. Keep going, do what you can do, and we'll have plenty of time to work on rollback before we go on to a new move. So I'm going to stand at 12 o'clock. And sometimes you'll see me looking in different directions. It's because I have an extra TV I can look at to make sure you can see where I am. So to get started for prepare, I'm standing up. I am not bent at the knees. I'm not sitting, but my knees are not locked. I've got my head up. My arms are at my side. The fingertips are pointing down, like the middle finger really leading the way, touching the seams of my pants. I still have space between my armpits. I'm relaxing my hips and back as much as I am able, and I'm breathing naturally. This is prepare. Opening. Rotate your arms so your palms are back towards you and lift up to shoulder height. As you come down, the elbows droop, then the forearms and the hands as the fingertips start to float with the wrist a little bent and the fingers are forward and you get to the almost bottom. Left ward off. Shift a little bit to the left. Turn, open your body 45 degrees in your toe. Move forward weight to the right leg. The right arm is coming up and the left arm's pointing down. You bend your knees. Now you're going to pick up your foot, step out with the heel as you close your arms. Heel, ball, toe, bring that right arm down over middle left forearm, left ward off. Your left arm is to 3 o'clock. Right ward off. Shift and turn, foot 45 degrees, arm comes across. When you go to the left, rotate your arm so you grab and point your fingers down with the right. Your weight is now on the left foot. You're going to pick up the right foot. If you can, relax it in a little bit. Now step out for a bow step. As you move forward, left hand down over right middle forearm into a bow step. Now your right hand is angled a little up. Your left hand fingers are pointing to the middle forearm. Your body is leaning forward a little bit and you're aligned elbow and knee. Roll back. Legs don't move. We turn our body as our arms rotate. You wave at the corner and see your left palm. As you shift back, your weight come across. and you get your right arm to the corner and your weight is sitting back, but both feet are on the floor. And that's as far as we got. All right, we're going to do that one more time together, not quite as slowly. I will still give you plenty of cues, but just to get some feel of it, okay? Let's start from our 12 o'clock position in prepare. All right, and when you are in prepare and you're ready to get started, it's a good idea to kind of let everything relax a little bit, as much as you can, and breathe. Opening, rotate, lift. Pressing down and almost to the bottom, fingertips forward. Left, ward off, shift, turn 45 degrees. Move weight to right. You start your circle. Step out with the heel, close your arms. Move forward, right hand over left forearm. Left arm to 3 o'clock. Right ward off. Shift, turn, come across. As you come to the left, grab with that left hand. Your arms are open. They're getting ready to close. Pick up the foot, step with the heel, both step, right ward off. Roll back, turning the upper body to the corner. Come back across. Hand to the other corner. And you're sitting back. All right, that's just to get us into a little bit of Tai Chi, and then we're going to review. But first, I kind of want to check in with you. How are people feeling? It's a lot, I know, and if you're new, please know that it's a lot. So how are people doing? Let's see. Okay, we've got some thumbs up, and we've got thumbs up from some new people too, so that's good. So just whatever you're doing, watch for safety. So we're going to review a few little safety things right now before we go ahead. I'm going to face you. I'm going to go into a bow stance, and I'll use this leg. And you can you can mirror me if you want. We're just going to do a bow step for a minute here. When I'm in a bow step, and I have this width between my feet, this front knee is very important. This knee is staying over that foot. This relates to that open quad that I was talking about, that even though we're in a bow step, we want the open quad. So if you're having at all trouble with that knee, that leg, think of this long bone and this long bone. They're rotating enough to keep this open. You'll know it's not open if you feel a leg go in like that. Don't want that. Or this back leg could collapse too. That could happen there. You want both of them open with the quad. So that's an important safety feature that I want you to keep in mind. Are there any immediate questions? We're going to review Rollback, but anything major that you want to ask, or minor to you, that you want to ask that will help you move forward in the class today? I just want to make sure you have opportunity and time for questions. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going to happen next. Remember that we're working on the signature move, grasp the bird's tail, and that so far, after opening, you've done left ward off and right ward off. Both of those moves use the ward off technique. And just to remind you, when we're in ward off, we can see our palm. Think of it as the reading the palm move. This is our ward off. It's a technique that lets us connect with our opponent, and also set space between us. When I connect with my opponent, that opponent can't get at me, okay? So that's my ward off hand. So if you are wanting to look at your ward off hand, you see a nice round arm, and you see a little curve at the wrist, and the fingers, and it's angling a little bit up. There is a rotation if you can do that. If you can do that, your arm's a little rotated. I know some people having some shoulder issues. Please don't overdo the rotation if you can't do that. That's fine. All right. Now, last week, the move we did was called Rollback, and that had a different kind of technique corresponding to a different energy. Remember, the energy is what's happening with your opponent. And we don't do a lot with that right here, but it's to help you know that there are these arm and hand techniques that help us get there. So let's review rollback. I'm going to first do it with you. I'm facing the side because 3 o'clock is our position, but then I'll face front. All right? So let's go to 3 o'clock position. Everybody, you're going from right ward off. So it's right ward off, so it's a right bow step. That means your right foot is forward. Your left is back. This is your bow step. Remember, you are angled in this so that your back and your back leg are in line. Your right arm is curving in front of your body, a nice round shape, and your left hand fingers point to middle forearm. For rollback, let's do it together. I turn my upper body as I rotate my arms go to my corner. Now, and so that means your palm is out on the right and you see your palm on the left. Shift weight back and come across. Right hand to the other corner. This is your 130 corner. All right, let's do that again. And we're doing it this way because we're going in the same direction, but then I'll face front. So from right, ward off. Roll back. Turn that middle body. Shoulders turn. Hands to the corner. Shift your weight back and come across. All right. Now, I'm going to do it facing you. I don't know if anybody is going to want me to mirror it, but if you decide you want me to mirror it, you can speak up. I did hear from people who just said they didn't like the mirroring. So here's my right ward off. I'm in a right bow step, and I've got my arm circling. My knee and my elbow are in line. Now this left, just to remind you, this left hand, the fingertips are pointing to the middle of my forearm, not touching, they're pointing. There's about a fist distance between, all right? And my tiger's mouth is open. All right. We're going to do rollback together. Remember, this move is middle body, and it takes the arms with it. So I'm going to turn and rotate the arms, and as I do that, my right palm goes out and my left is in ward off. Then as I shift my weight back, I come across. And when I finish, my weight's heavy on the left. All right? We'll do that again. So you can see my right side. This is my left side with nothing on it. From right ward off. Relax and let yourself breathe a little. Okay. Roll back. Middle body turns, rotate arms, right arm waves outside, left palm, read your palm, shift back, come across, and when you finish, you've got a little lean towards the front leg. So look at or pay attention to yourself. If you are doing this, which can happen, that's not a very stable position that way. If you do this, if you do roll back like this, trying to push someone over that way, you're uprooted. You're having trouble keeping your feet on the ground, all right? So we want to think of where our front leg is, and when I finish roll back, my elbow, I'm leaning that direction a little bit. Not so much to the back leg, but I go to the front leg. All right? Okay. I want to talk a little bit more about the upper body and then the lower body to get us ready to go ahead. So just to remind you, when we're doing this movement, I'm just going to talk about this hand, the right hand. We could do it on both hands, actually. I'm looking at my palm, and as I turn, this arm the forearm's going to rotate, and it's going to rotate as a unit with the wrist so that I slowly turn and I'm opening and I get there. So what I'm striving for is this nice smooth turn where I don't have to suddenly go, oops, I forgot. That's an oops. An oops is where you're going along merrily like this, and you go, oh, I forgot, and you end up flipping. We want it smooth, and this is a very big part of Tai Chi, that we have smooth, even movements in the Young Family style. So let's just all take our right hand, lining it up, and let's practice. Remember to think about, oh, my middle body is leading the way. Turn and rotate. Okay, again. Turn, rotating. So you start that rotation fast, okay? The left hand is also rotating when we get there. So I don't know if I can do the left hand alone. I'm not moving my feet, so I'm not showing them to you much, but as I turn, this left hand rotates, and now I see my palm. So it starts with palm down, and it gets to palm up. All right? Now, you're going to hear a lot of that. You're going to hear one palm. See, when I'm in right ward off, one palm is facing down, and one palm is facing up. And then they switch. Tai Chi is based on Chinese culture and philosophy. And a big part of this is yin-yang theory. And you may have, everybody's probably heard of that just in casual culture here of yin-yang. And people think of opposites. So if we have opposites of hot and cold, and we think of soft and hard, well, we have up and down, and we have back, back and forward. And in the Tai Chi form, we're always moving between these opposites. And so when we do rollback, and I'm here, and I go to the first position, there's one change, one out, one in, and then I come back, forward and back. Okay? The reason I'm pointing it out is in the next couple moves, we have a lot of this going on, and it's just, we'll start to talk about it. We'll start to talk, because that will become a cue that will sometimes help you. We'll have situations of one out, one back, one up, one down. So that will be the yin yang, because we are constantly changing in Tai Chi. We're moving and changing, always striving to come back to a balance. All right? So let's go ahead and see if there are any questions just about rollback before we practice it a little bit more. But are there any questions that people want to ask about rollback?
One question, is it primarily your wrists moving, or do your elbows adjust too?
Oh, very good question. Thank you. It is not just your wrist. From the elbow up, there is that rotation. So let's talk, make sure everybody understands an excellent question and the answer, okay? So in our Tai Chi form, we don't have too much that happens independently at the wrist. So you're not going to find moves where we do this. There are styles of dance. You know, there are many styles of dance which have a lot of independent wrist movement, but that is not the case in this style. So let me go this way. I'm in my bow step this way, so you can see, maybe see this arm. If I do my roll back, from here, the whole thing is rotating and my shoulder's opening a little. So I'm not trying to twist my shoulder up here, but it's opening. So again, from elbow through forearm to wrist, rotate. Okay? Anna, did that answer your question? Okay, I saw your thumbs up. Thank you. Now, that's a really nice question, because we haven't done it yet in this class. We're not going to do it yet. But there are moves where we are using our elbow as kind of a point around which we rotate. So the elbow does become a point that we pay a lot of attention to, all right? But you're not going to have wrists independently turning. What you do have, and this is one thing I wanted to review today, so this is the perfect time. What you do have is what we call seating of the wrist. If I have my hand out like this and it's flat, that is not a position that you're going to find, because we like circles, we like curves. To seat my wrist, I bend at the wrist and lift the fingers up. That is one seated wrist. There are many seated wrists. There are seated wrists where it bends in. There are seated wrists where it's curved down. But the one that we're talking about for rollback is up, is it raises up. So if I'm here and I roll back and I finish, it's seated. You'll hear people say, sit your palm. That's what my teacher said. I didn't know if people actively said that or it was the way she described it, but seat your palm. Make it seated. Oh, hey, Anna, that looks really nice. That was really beautiful. I just happened to see it. Oh, by the way, I need to tell you, some people have written me and said they're a little shy about turning on their camera. I hope you won't be afraid. I will never call you out for a mistake or criticize you. My only goal in watching, besides celebrating what you're doing, my only goal is what can I see that might help me explain something to you better. So please don't worry about that. Plus, this class is pretty big. I can only see so many people at once, so you're pretty safe anyway, all right? So let's do rollback again and think about that rotation. Your right foot forward, your left foot back, and you are in your bow stance for right ward off. You're a little bit leaned so that your back is aligned. Left fingertips to right forearm. Roll back, turning, rotating, arm to the corner. Shift back and come across. And see if you're leaning a little more towards the front leg, but not tilting to the side so you can be stable. Now, put your arms down, but stay right here for a minute. I haven't talked much about the feet. We have to remember our feet and the bubbling well. Remember the shoe and the bubbling well is an area right behind the ball of the foot, sort of in the sole, and you want to be fairly glued to the ground with it. Let's just go into a bow stance and 60% forward. To get back, to shift back, I'm not just going to throw my weight back. I want to push with the bubbling well of the front foot, and the back leg will support it, will receive it. So I push back, and my back leg feels that. It supports it. It receives it. They work together. And now I'm going to push with the bubbling well. The whole foot is on the ground of the back foot into the front, and I get to the bubbling well, and it receives it. It stops. By receiving it, I mean it sends energy back down into the ground. It uses it to keep you rooted. All right? One more time. Push from the bubbling well front so that you go back and push that energy into the ground. Push with the back bubbling well. Come front when you get to the bubbling well. Stop. All right? And push it in. You will know you're in the bubbling well because if you cannot lift your toes up by themselves, like I can wiggle my toes a little bit, but I can't lift them up. And I can't really lift not without shifting my weight. I can't move that foot. If you can lift your foot, your toes up, I'm tapping my toe a little. If you can do that, you're not in the bubbling well, come a little forward. If your heel is coming off the ground in the front foot here, then you're not in the bubbling well, come a little back. All right? This is something that takes a lot to develop, but we'll just keep mentioning it. Just keep bringing it in for your practice, all right? All right, any other questions? If not, we're going to go on to our new move. So let me just check. Any other questions? All right, we're going to do a new move. And I'll do it from the front first because you're used to looking at me here. I'll also do it from the 3 o'clock position because that's where you'll be. I have just done rollback. So when I've done rollback, I've come like this, all right? This movement is from rollback. We start from rollback. This is what it looks like, and then I'll narrate it and tell you, but I'll just do it. All right, I'm going to do it again and describe a little bit. Some of you know this. You can do it if you would like. I'm in the end of rollback. I'm going to, as my body turns a little bit, my right arm is going to rotate. My palm comes towards me. My left arm rotates. The palm goes on the middle forearm. I expand forward into a bow step. All right? And when I finish, I'm aligned again. I'm aligned again. All right, let's talk through it. We always go footwork first. We look at our body shape and our arm technique. Those are the pieces that we do, and we add a few things on at the end. So the footwork is not going to be very hard here. So first go into your right bow step. When you do roll back, what do? You shift back, right? Let's shift back. Push with that front foot into the back foot. So now you have much more weight in the back foot. It's maybe 70%, but your front foot is still a good solid 30% on the floor here. It's not just a 60-40, there's a little bit more. To do the footwork for press, this move, I'm going to push with the back foot into the front foot and end when I get to the bubbling well. That's it. That's the footwork. So it's not anything new. It's what we were just practicing. The only issue with that will be the timing, because coordinating our lower and upper body is very important. So we're going to spend a little bit more time looking at the arms. All right, this move is called press, but another name for it, depending on how you translate the Chinese, is squeeze. And it's because you are taking a compressed energy and squeezing it, pushing it out, pressing it out. All right. So let's start. Let's look at our rollback arms for a minute. And I automatically go into the body shape because it's a little harder for me to remember, but if you with the footwork, but if you don't have to worry about the footwork here. So when I'm at the end of rollback, my right arm here, my decorated arm, the palm is out. My left arm, the palm is up, right? Okay, let's talk about the right arm. The right arm, the higher arm, is going to circle, and as it circles, that palm is going to change. The arm will rotate. It circles towards me, and the palm comes up because you've bent the elbow. All right? Now, remember the arms don't move by themselves, so the body is turning a little bit. If I think about that point in my spine, it's actually that point is turning right, but you see the arm go left. Just think about you don't have to think too hard about right and left there, I think. Just think about my torso, my middle body, and my upper body are connected. So here's my upper arm. It's to the corner. I'm going to turn, rotate, circle in, and it's close, and I see my palm. Okay? Again. Oh, my weight's back. Turn, circle, palm in because you've bent your elbow. All right? That's the first part of this hand. All right? What does the left hand do? The left hand also is going to change. There's that yin and yang, right? One changes, the other changes. The left palm is up, and as the right turns and you turn, the left simply turns over, and it lands on the middle forearm of your right arm, the middle of the forearm, okay? When you land there, you land with the palm, this nice inside part of your palm. It's a little curved, right, because of our hand shape. It's not open wide like that. Little curved, but your fingertips are up, and it lands right on the middle forearm. When it's there, let's see if we can get this, the fingers are angled. They're angled. So this is my right hand, and my left hand's on it, and the fingers are angled. Let me just show you the reverse if you want to see. If it were this side, see how the fingers are angled. The palm's on there, and the fingers are angled. My thumb, my tiger's mouth is open, okay? But I'm pushing, going to push forward with that, all right? So let's work on putting those two together. We are at the end of rollback. End of rollback. The right arm is higher than the left. The left fingertips point to middle forearm. You see your left palm. You're waving out with the right. All right. As you turn, rotate right, bend your right arm, rotate left, bring it close to your body, and put your palm on your forearm. Put your palm on your forearm. All right. At this point, you're pretty close to your body. This is not something you're doing out there. You're getting close to your body. You're compressing. This is the compression. This is compression. All right? Again, arm up. And I'm back. Sorry. Okay. So as I turn my body, I rotate, rotate right, bring the palm in, left palm on forearm. All right, you hear? Now, from here, I'm going to expand outward as I move my legs. I push forward into my bow step and just simply use that left hand to push the right hand forward. All right? So when you finish, you are in your back in your tree shape, you're out, and the left hand's on the forearm of the right. All right? Okay. This hand is at shoulder level. It is not higher. So we're not going up here. We're forward because we've got an opponent that we're pressing out. All right? All right, let's do it again. I'm back, and I have my ward-off hands, my rollback hands, palm out on the right, up on the left. Okay, turn your body, rotate right so you see your palm, bring it in, bend your elbow, rotate left, palm down on the forearm. Expand forward into a bow step. That is press. All right. Now, relax. It is really easy because you're doing a new move. You know what can happen. The shoulders can come way up and the elbows can come up. But in our form, we like shoulders down, elbows down. So let's do it again and just check. You might be great. Might be great. All right. From rollback. Press. Rotate. Bend. Come in. Left palm on forearm. Expand forward, pushing through the legs and finish. Elbows down, and shoulders down. So if you find yourself doing this, let them come down. All right, let them come down. All right. Okay, first let's take questions before we practice a little bit more. But any questions? How are people doing? Is it making sense? Those of you for whom this is new.
Judy, this is Greg.
Yes, Greg.
If I understood rollback, you turn your palm away from you to grab your opponent with your right hand. Your left hand is under their left elbow, and then you're turning and bringing them off balance to your left. Is that correct?
Well, I'm a little not sure I'm following your left and rights, but let me rephrase your question and see if I'm understanding enough to answer, okay? You're asking about the meaning of this, right? What you're doing with your opponent. Is that correct?
The purpose, yeah.
Okay. So two things I want to say. Yes, you can do this with an opponent right after rollback, or it could be in a free fight form that you might be doing this. But when I'm in right ward off, I've got this person's arm, this left arm down, and I've lifted up. All right. In rollback, what I've done is I've gotten outside of them, and I'm using the forearm to bring them across. And I still have their hand. You're right. I'm still holding on. So what I'm doing is I'm actually keeping hold. I'm coming in, letting go here, putting my hand here. I'm very close to them, and I push them out ahead. All right? Is that making any sense?
You let go of your opponent and then push him away.
Well, you let go of the right hand so you can bring it in, and then quickly put your hand here and get him. You've got him so close to you, and it happens fast.
Okay. But the purpose is to push him.
The purpose is to get him away from you.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, Alan, why don't you come? We didn't have a lot of time to practice, but maybe I can show you here. Why don't you come, Alan? The purpose is to shove them forward, but it's different than something else because you're getting really close. You're using that compressed energy. So let me see. Let me put this up so I can see. All right, so first of all, let's see if we can get this so that you can see. So I've had him, oh, your hands are so cool. Yeah. So this is my right ward off. I've lifted him, I'm holding him on this other, my left hand's holding him. Actually what he does is he tries to get away from me by bending his elbow a little bit, and I bring my arm up. This is my rollback, what we did, okay? and I bring him here, but I'm not going to toss him. I'm just moving him down so he's destabilized, right? He understands that he's stuck, so he is going to try to get away from me by bending this elbow, this elbow here. Just bend it a little bit. I've still got him with this hand here. I can show you this hand, and so I let go here. I'm turning, and see how close I am here, and I do that, and I push him. Now, if I could really show you, and we both knew what we were doing here, he could really fly. I could really use this energy and do. So come here. We're not going to do the whole thing, but just suppose I've come here and I can figure out to bring my hand here, and he's off balance. See how close I am? And then he goes because I'm so close, and that's what it is. Thank you. So did that make sense, Greg?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I always seem to need to know the purpose of the move in order to sort of visualize what I'm trying to do with my arms.
Yeah, a lot of people really do well knowing the martial art application, and some people don't. So I always say to people, if it doesn't work for you to think that way, or it's not of interest, don't worry. But the one thing I will say about the applications is somebody on, let's see, we're getting an echo, and I think it's because of unmuting. So let's go ahead, and I'll just mute people, and then you can unmute. Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead, Holly. Go ahead.
What's your wrist doing? Is it relatively straight when you're in this position?
Yes. Okay. Nice question. I love these questions about wrists because they tell me great things I can tell you. All right. So when we have an arm, we have a Tai Chi arm, we have curves. That's the nature of Tai Chi arms. Tai Chi arms have bends at different places. I've got my shoulder joint that I get bends. I've got this elbow. Remember that we don't typically have a real straight arm and we never lock. There's a bend. There are bends, little bends at the wrist, which are part of seating. And so my wrist is not, let's see, this is that flat wrist. It is going to be some seating because it's curved. It's a little bit curved. You see how my fingers are curving there? That's part of what I'm trying to accomplish. So when I'm here, bend at the elbow, a little bend at the wrist so my hand's a little towards me. Not enough to make it look like this, right? Just a little curve, but not straight like that. So when it's here, it's one line, but it's a curved line. And my fingertips are angling up. My arm has a little bit of an angle there. And so I have my forearm on it. This position won't change as I come forward. So here's a curve, little curve. That makes sense, Holly? Let's see if I can find her. Where's Holly? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, we got some thumbs up. So those are great questions. Now, if you're brand new and feeling a little overwhelmed with details, some of these little curves, you can let them go because, right, first thing, footwork, body shape, all right? And so think of being a tree, and if I'm forward in press, I have space under my armpits. My arms are round. That's what you can think of. My head is lifted. My elbows are down and my shoulders are down. All right. So that's how we review where we need to put our attention if something's getting overwhelming to you. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and practice that a couple more times. Then where are we? Oh, okay, good. Then we're going to put it all together. All right. So I'll tell you what, as we practice now, let's do rollback with it so you can feel what it's like to go from one to the other. So we will start from right ward off, and then we'll turn around and do it in that position. So I'm in right ward off. Notice right ward off has a lot of similarities, but my hands aren't touching. My left hand is pointing with the fist distance. And I've got that, Holly, I've got that same nice curve with my hand. Roll back. Middle body turns as your arms rotate from the elbow to this corner. Shift back and come across, right hand to your next corner. press. As your right arm circles, palm comes towards you, bend that elbow, rotate left, palm left on right, forearm, expand forward as you push out with left helping right. All right? Okay, I'll tell you what, let's go to our 3 o'clock position and do it there. All right? So from rightward off. Right arm circles, left arm fingertips point to middle forearm. You're leaning, this is one of the leans. Roll back, turn upper body, rotate arms to your corner. Shift back, come across to the next corner. Press. Bend your right elbow, rotate palm towards you, left palm down on forearm middle. Expand forward, feet and arms arrive. And you are still in your angle. The body angle is the same, matching the back leg. All right, let's do it again. From rightward off. Roll back, turn, rotate, shift back, pull across, press, bend right arm, circle in, left palm on right forearm, expand out, legs and arms together. All right, now I'm going to watch, and again, my goal is to twofold. One is to see if I can see something to be of help, but the other is to gradually help you have enough confidence that you'll practice some of this at home. I know it's really hard to go out of class and remember much of anything, but at least if you try here, you can try at home. Okay, and then Rita, if you could help me remember before the end of class to make an announcement about that, okay? Alrighty. Okay, everybody, are you ready? Go into your rightward off. I'll give you a minute. Right foot forward, left foot back, and you've got your right arm in front of you circling and your left fingertips. Very good. Now in this rightward off, see if you can angle a little bit so that your back is leaning. Okay. Roll back, turn, rotate to the corner, and now shift your weight back and come across to the next corner. Very good. Okay. Press. Bend the right elbow, circle it, rotate left and put the palm on close to your body and expand forward. Expand forward. All right. Now, when you're here, let those shoulders drop. Good. Okay. And relax. Okay. I want to, so first of all, how was that to do it by yourself? How was that? All right. I'm very impressed. Okay. I can't tell you when I started Tai Chi and the teacher would say you do it, I felt a terror. I just felt absolute terror. But it's really important. It's really good to get started. So I applaud you. All right. Let's go ahead and review one little thing about bow steps because I want you to go home and practice this. When we practice our bow step, remember that we want to make sure we protect the knee and we stop soon enough. So if I'm here and I'm back and I go into a bow step by pushing the back foot and I go forward, when I get to the bubbling well, I stop and this knee doesn't go too far forward, doesn't go too far forward. The lower leg here is fairly straight. If you find yourself going here, that simply means you're going too far. All right, see how my knee's coming way forward? Let's see if I get where you can see it. Knee is way too forward here. I'm too forward. I come back. All right, so I'd like you to really think about that this week because that's a good thing to get under some command in the beginning to stop. And that's why I say when you feel that bubbling well, stop there. And if you find yourself routinely going too far forward, just know that it's a little less than you think. Some of you have a smaller stride. And so you have a kind of a smaller distance. Some of you might have a longer stride and you go a little farther. So you will adjust it to your position. All right. Well, are there any immediate questions that people want to ask? How are you feeling? It's a lot to absorb, but I hope
Good.
that it's, some of it's coming into your head. What I wanted to tell you, that this is what I said, Rita, that I want you to remind me if I couldn't remember. Maybe there's something you're struggling with in your body and you're not sure how to make it right for your body, or maybe there's something you just aren't comfortable asking in class. It's a little complicated, or you can't even think of how to phrase it. You can always ask to chat with me before or after class, or if that didn't work another time, for a few minutes. When we were in the school, people would come to class early and all the time would grab me for a question, or after class, someone would stay and ask a question. And that was natural because we were in a physical space. But we can do that here too. So I want you not to feel like you go away for the week and then there's no, of course you have Rita's practice, which is wonderful. But then you've got the whole rest of the week to go. Feel free. Let me know what you need help with, or if you need to connect a little bit around that. I want to make sure you have that option, okay? All right, well, we're going to end class with our salute. Next week, I'll get these bands on tighter so they don't keep flopping down. Feet together. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for a good class. Have a good week. Practice Tai Chi and enjoy your Tai Chi.
Thank you,
And I'll be
Judy.
here for a few minutes if you have anything you want to ask me or see
Thank
to
you,
me.
Judy, and
Thanks,
thank
Judy.
you for the
Thank you,
armband.
Judy.